We start day 10 in Eureka, California, a wonderful little town that has a great historic district that has some fantastic examples of Victorian architecture that are well worth seeing if you have the time. As for us, today we are going to the Avenue of the Giants to see some really big trees. Eureka is also the state's motto, and it means I have found it. And I'll bet that's exactly what the first guy who saw these trees was thinking. Unfortunately, he was a logger, and we're lucky to have any of these big trees left. And of those that are left, it will take years before their surrounding areas will be considered old growth, and we will be able to see firsthand what a primeval forest was like. I guess until then, we will just have to imagine it. As I mentioned yesterday, I consider this to be the most beautiful place on the planet, and I was glad to be back. The Avenue of the Giants is a 30 or so mile long drive along the Eel River that has some truly remarkable places to explore. There are many turnouts and day use areas along the way, and all of them have trails leading off into the forest. Pick any of them and you will see things that will amaze you. There is nothing quite like walking through a Redwood Forest. It is something that will stay with you forever, and until you experience it for yourself, you will never truly understand the size of these trees. I, for one, cannot believe anyone would ever have dreamed of cutting one of these amazing things down. As you hike through the forest, you will feel incredibly small, and one thing you will notice is how many trees have fallen over on their own. If you look close at the roots, you will see why. There is so much water in these areas, the trees do not need to send down tap roots, and as a result, the root system is shallow, making them susceptible to being blown over by the wind. And you can easily imagine that as you hear the creaking of the trees in the breeze. This road winds through both public and private lands, and a couple of real nice little towns. We stopped in Miranda for lunch, and we bought a wood carving before heading back into the forest. We pulled into one of the day use areas and walked down by the river to see if we could take a drone flight. The wind was blowing pretty hard, and the flight was a little tricky, but you would never know it because of how sweet this gimbal is. As the sun rose high in the sky and the fog started burning off, the streams of light coming in through the forest canopy was making our video appear a little like a strobe light, so it was time for a hike. As I pointed out before, there are multiple trails at each of the turnouts and day use areas. You cannot make a poor choice, and the trail we took off on could not have been more lovely. The rest of the day was spent meandering down the 101, and we ended up in a place called Willett's for a great dinner and a good night's sleep. So there you have it, day 10, which turned out to be both active and productive. We got some great pictures, flew the drone, and communed with nature in the most beautiful place on the planet. Not a bad way to spend a day. I hope you're enjoying our trip as much as we are, and will stay with us all the way to Mexico. So until tomorrow, this is Hugh saying so long.